All right, let's take a look at that. So this is going to be second lap. I apologize if I'm low energy today. I've been up for a long time flying back from Daytona. Fortunately, didn't get to see the race because of work and the rain and all that, but that's okay. I had a good time there. But anyways, what we're going to be doing is going into turn 3 and 4 on your second lap. So first lap, you want to run very slow. Not so slow that you don't heat up any of the tires, but you don't want to have any sliding moments. You don't want to feel your car getting out of handling. You just basically want to cruise control the car up until you get to turn 3 and 4 here. So what we're going to be doing here is starting up high, and then very classic. I get on the brake until the car turns down the corner, and then right as the car starts to point, I go full throttle and unload the wheel. It'll take a bit of practice. 4 is a pretty tight exit, so you're going to hit the wall a couple times, but just keep practicing this high to low full throttle commit. You can see I got full throttle really early, and you just got to find that timing of saying, okay, my nose is turned down about this much, I can go full throttle, and the natural looseness of the car will just carry you off the corner. Make sure not to slide your rear tire, and of course don't hit the wall. But yeah, this is going to be pretty tough, but luckily it only matters about 100th or 2, because as you'll see, we are going to max out revs at the end of the straightaway. So we're maxing revs, okay? So what I do is I get pretty quick off the throttle. Usually I like to get smooth off the throttle, but here I like to dive bomb the corner a little bit more than you would usually think. So I go for a wide entry. So this is going to be very different from what we talk about in long run, but for the qualifying lap, we want wide entry, brake drag all the way to the bottom, brake until we get to that yellow line, and then right as we get to that yellow line, we want to get really aggressive on the throttle, because if we get too little throttle here, the car's not going to rotate under the throttle. We're trying to find the amount of throttle where we can actually kick out the rear a tiny bit and keep the car loose, because we're not trying to use the steering wheel for the rest of the corner. So what can happen is you go too little throttle and the car will actually straighten out because the weight shifts back. But if you go too much throttle, you spin out. So I find that the perfect amount of throttle is you get right onto that 70%. You get just instantly onto it, and it'll kick the rear out just a little bit, and then you just kind of ride that wave all the way up the track. Very precise. If it was 80, I probably would have spun out or at least slid. If it was 50, I probably would have gone straight instead of rotated under throttle. So it's very, very precise. Right when you get to the yellow, pick up that 70% throttle. It'll kick out the rear, and then once you feel like you can make the corner with the rotation level that you have, you just go full throttle and drive it towards the wall. Very, very precise. I'm not going to understate how hard that is. Okay, 3 and 4, kind of the same idea, except I'm going to be going a little bit more smoother into the corner. This is a bit narrower of an entry than 1 is, so I need to have like 2 little smooth stages off the throttle. So I go full to half, half to off, and then brake drag down to the bottom. And then you see here, 3, same idea as 1 and 2, except the throttle level of kicking out the rear in turn 3, because we have more pitch in the car at this point in the corner. So only about 50% throttle is what's needed to kick out the rear. So don't go, if you go for 70 right here, you're probably sliding. If you go for less than 50, say like 30 or 20, you're probably going straight. So for here, it's that 50. So again, trail brake all the way to the bottom. Once you reach the yellow line, right before actually, it wasn't right when I reached it, it was right before. So brake right before I get there, switch to throttle. And you see how that throttle, I did not move the wheel to keep us off the yellow line. I used just the throttle. So that's going to be something that you need to practice, is using your throttle to keep yourself off the yellow line. And then from there, you just let it take you back all the way up to the top. If you I've done this 2 ways. This was actually the fastest I've done it, but I was also very successful with doing a later apex and keeping it kind of lower off the corner. This was just a very well executed early entry, because I was able to get to that throttle, commit to it, keep it off the yellow line, and then the amount of rotation I had, you see I don't have to use any extra steering wheel, and I'm able to actually unload it and keep it off the wall. as we come up the corner. So don't be afraid to slide up towards the wall. You're going to need every inch of it with, you need every inch of real estate. Okay, so now let's take a look at long run. All right, let's take a look at long run. So the thing about Nashville is it's all about right front tire preservation. It's like, well, wait, haven't I seen you just slipping and sliding and almost spinning out? Yes, but that's only on exit. The entries of these corners are super rough on the right front, and it actually outweighs any abuse going on in the rears. So we really need to make sure that we're using the amount of brake that's getting us to the bottom without using so much steering wheel. Now you see I gave up 3/10 in one corner there. So the problem is, how do we keep our track position? And so the answer is we just do a little bit of a compromise. So we'll see here. Pull half a second off, and that's like my full saving line. So if you're under attack from someone or you want to get some quick track position, then yeah, then we go a little bit harder into the corner, then we get back on the throttle, so we're only about a tenth or so off the corner. But I had to use more steering wheel on entry to achieve that. You can still be aggressive on exit and entry. See how I'm widening out the corners? I don't always recommend to widen out the corners, but at Nashville in particular, it's one of those places where you probably are going to have to use that wide entry, especially if you're trying to hold off somebody else. So I like this shallow entry here. You see, that's already, we already lost 2/10 in that corner to my best lap. See, it's basically 1/10 slower to do a shallow entry, just because this isn't a normal cookie cutter mile and a half oval. 3 and 4, it's actually a little bit easier to get the shallow entry to work. 1 and 2, it's pretty tight on entry. But you have to be very, very disciplined. The car is going to be screaming at you to use a ton of steering wheel to enter the corner. And you just got to say, nope, I'm going to use the brake to do it, especially if you have nobody pressuring you. Now, if you have somebody pressuring you, track position is track position, do what you got to do, especially in the short run. But as you get strung out, as you start running your own race, really fight the urge to use that steering wheel to get all of that turn down to the yellow line, because the more of that brake that you use, the more that you're going to have left tire to use at the end of the race. But like our qual line, if you remember, is just so much deeper. See how much deeper I can throw it? I can throw it in that deep. And it's just, such a tire crusher. 2/10 right there just from driving it in deeper. And we'll do it here too. And it's just, that's so much more right front tire to get to that point. So it's about picking and choosing what laps you do what on. If you have some space behind you, early entry, save that tire. Whoa, excuse me. But if you have cars around you, let's say that you have a guy that's looking to pass you, but you think that he's going to burn his stuff up, maybe that later wide arc entry, get all the way down there, make up some time. It's just so easy to make up the time if you want to burn your tires. Let's say 3 and 4, you got some space. Okay, we'll come in really early, get on the throttle early, ride the right rear, drive it straight up to the wall. I mean, that's still not slow. The car seems to be loosening up a little bit as we get into the run, but only because I'm not hard charging every single corner. I still want the car to always rotate under throttle no matter how hard I charge it in. You have to use the right amount of brake. So the harder you charge it in, the more brake you're going to have to use to get that pivot. So we'll come around here. I just like that early entry. It just feels a lot more productive on the tires. And I think the later we get into the run, the less of a difference that and the dive bomb line is going to be. So definitely on the short run, be more aggressive on your entries when you have to. But the moment that you get some space, really start experimenting with that early entry. It's going to help you out a lot. So I think I ended up, 98, 97. So you see, I was able to put the car in the right rear overall there, which is really good. Because the farther we get into this, the more it's going to want to lean on that right front. So to be able to start on the right foot, so to speak, that is very important in this race. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. I hope to see you all on the track.